quick video on the state of the market and how to navigate it. I have 3 products that I'll be talking about, and we'll look at how their price behavior is different. First, we're going to start with the Surging Sparks booster box, a more modern booster box. Then we'll talk about a recent, very hyped promo card. And then we'll talk about a more vintage, mid-modern vintage set. And these 3 products represent different types of investments in Pokemon. You can see how they move differently and why it's important to diversify your portfolio. So first we'll start with the Surging Sparks booster box. As we can see, it peaked at over $300 and now it's dropped all the way down to $240. That's about a 20-25% dip, which is pretty significant. But for the Surging Sparks booster box, the reason it dipped is because there have been announced some reprints / restocks in the stores. So a lot more are coming into the market. So it dipped. I think Surging Sparks, because it's been out for a lot longer than some of the more recent sets, and it's a very popular set, that this is a good buying opportunity. Because this is still in print, because this is still in restocks, you can see that the price dipped a not insignificant amount, and that's something you should consider when investing in these modern booster boxes. But when it comes to Scarlet and Violet booster boxes, we are in a new mega era. So I've always said that this is a good time to invest because you can't really predict when these restocks or reprints are going to happen. And generally, it's hard to time the market. I would say Surging Sparks is one of the most popular sets. So it's more important to buy the right sets. And of course, you can try your best to not buy at an all-time high. But if your time horizon is long enough, budgeting and investing what you can afford comes first before trying to catch these like dips and gains. It's not advisable to try to do that. It's because as quickly as it gone up right here in the course of just a few weeks, it could go down. And there's a statistic that in the S&P 500, which is the broad stock market index of the top 500 companies, if you just sat out on the top, I think it was 12 or 15 days of the biggest movements, you would lose a majority of your gains, meaning that timing the market works when you're right. But there could be 1 or 2 days or a week where the price of the product moves, let's say 5-10%, and it's never coming back down. And if you miss that, you missed out on all the gains. And it's something some people can do well, but that population of people that can time the market perfectly, I mean, they usually just get lucky. It's very, very hard to do. So Surging Sparks right now, I think is a pretty good buy opportunity. Don't see it falling below $200 ever, just because, again, booster boxes are not printed as much as other products. They are the gold standard flagship product of any set. They come with the most booster packs, super high demand, and again, Surging Sparks is a popular set. And then let's compare this to Evolving Skies. So because Evolving Skies has been out for many, many years, it's definitely out of print. You can see that the recent dips, I mean, when a lot of the sealed product market dips, everything kind of dips together. There's just a sentiment of selling. So there's correlation between a lot of these different sets, but you can see the movement is very different. At its peak, it was selling at about $2,600, and right now, the lowest listed price is about $2,300 or $2,400. So this dipped about 10% max, 5 to 10%, again, versus Surging Sparks that dipped 20 to 25%. Now, there's the key difference. Something still in print versus something completely out of print. But the same way that Surging Sparks decreased that much, it also has a higher or faster trajectory to gain. The way you need to think about this is this. When it comes to something like Evolving Skies, what is the probability that it's going to 10x in the next 10 years, meaning from a $2,600 set to a $26,000 set? What do you think the odds are? You can just do some math. You can look at some historical numbers, or just go with your gut feeling. What do you think? Now, let's look at Surging Sparks. What is the probability that at $240 it would 10x to become a $2,000 or $2,400 box in the next 10 years? Now, my gut says that Surging Sparks has a much higher probability of 10xing for a variety of reasons. Because right now, again, still in print, you're not going to see any major movements if it could still be found on store shelves. But at some point, 3-5 years down the line, once people realize as a market, man, this amazing set is never, ever, ever coming back. All that's ever been printed or that will ever be released is now here. That is going to change the sentiment of Surging Sparks overnight. And at $2,400, a 10x from where it is today, it's still affordable for most Pokemon collectors, meaning there's high liquidity. People will feel incredibly nostalgic and want to rip and or collect it if they don't have it. And that $2,400 number, I mean, that's become a pretty default price point that all boxes reach after a certain amount of time. Now, Surging Sparks, I mean, we've already gotten this huge, crazy 2-3x within the past year. The idea that it would hit $26,000 in 10 years, it's actually possible, but at that price range, think about the liquidity, how many people can actually afford it, the amount of stress you would have owning one cardboard box worth that amount of money. I mean, there's a lot of factors that would get me thinking that Surging Sparks is the easier thing to invest in. It also has the higher potential return. I know Evolving Skies is the grail right now. It's something that it's such a flex to have, such a flex to say. But when you're just looking at the numbers and the risk-reward ratio, Surging Sparks is the easy winner. And again, I want to highlight that it doesn't mean you shouldn't get boxes like these, because having one or two of these older boxes, you can see that when the market dips, these boxes don't really dip that much because they're never coming back. But on the flip side of that is they don't also go up quite as fast. And finally, I want to look at the Pikachu McDonald's promo. So this price graph isn't exactly accurate. It actually peaked at $60 some, and it's dropped all the way listing price to $35, $36, which is almost a 40% increase. This is why I don't recommend investing, or at least holding a bulk of your Pokemon investing portfolio in singles or graded slabs, and definitely don't invest in these super hype cards, because if you missed this beginning run, let's say you bought it in at 25 and it went all the way up to $60, you're probably FOMOing. You feel like you made a mistake because you didn't jump into the hype, and then let's say you bought it at $60. Well, now you're underwater 40%. And that 40% is just very unlikely if you're investing in sealed product. I would say Surging Sparks coming down 25% would be close to the max of the amount of value you'd lose. But going into singles and PSA 10 cards, especially when they're hyped, I mean, you could lose far more than 50-60% of the value if you're accidentally investing in the top. And I personally really like the McDonald's Pikachu. I had a low cost basis buying from my Japanese supplier, but still, this is something that I was always worried about, because these types of cards that have so much hype around them, you're getting all different types of buyers. You're getting a ton of speculators as well. When Surging Sparks came out, the audience for people that wanted to get these were actually probably more true collectors versus something like the Burgachu. I mean, you could just see it in the news. You could see it in the hype. I saw it in the videos and pictures that my suppliers had, that other suppliers had, just mountains and mountains of McDonald's Pikachu promos. If every single person is talking about something, that's when you should be cautious. Of course, there are situations where there's some things you want to buy, like the Pokemon special Tohoku Fukuoka Hiroshima boxes. That was a decent buy when it came out, but there are plenty of stories like this McDonald's Pikachu, where if you bought in slightly at the wrong time, you'd be underwater now. Now, of course, if you like this card, it matters less. Of course it matters. You don't want to buy at the top. But if you're holding it because you like it for the long term, then you're fine. And that's why that still is one of the staples of how I like to invest and collect. It's definitely a mixture of the two. There's some things that I really love the art for, and there's some things that I know will just have a high appreciation percentage. Prismatic is a set that I personally don't love. It's not my favorite set in the world art-wise. There's so many other sets I prefer, but I understand as an investor, other people really like it. It's a very, very popular set. It is very, very fun to rip. The low probability chase cards makes it a very desirable set. Therefore, I do go heavy into it. 151, though, is a set that I actually liked, and that made it very easy for me to stack very heavy when people weren't really interested in it. So it's just there's a balance of being numbers based and also just trusting your gut, trusting your emotions, because at the end of the day, the things that lose people money isn't the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. You can see the historical returns of certain in-demand sets. What's going to lose you money is emotional reactions, is selling because you don't really like a set, and once it drops 20%, you're going to be holding on to something that you don't even want to hold, and when you sell that at a loss, that's when you lose a ton of money, whether that's in stock or Pokemon or crypto. A lack of conviction is what loses you money. Lack of conviction in things that you don't understand. Whether you're collecting or investing, buy what you love, buy what you know. Your conviction, your thoughts on something is your edge. If you follow what everybody else is doing, then the market has the full knowledge of that, and there's no edge. There's nothing that you're still going to make money, but you're following the herd versus leading the herd. As a summary, diversify your portfolio. Make sure a bulk of your investing portfolio is a sealed product, preferably booster boxes. Have a mixture between modern sets and some older sets, so it won't be as scary when the market corrects. And definitely for singles and raws and PSA 10s, more important than ever is to buy things that you actually believe in. Don't just chase hype. Really think about what you like, why you like it. Talk to your friends before you drop at least a lot of money on hyped cards. That's it. Hope that was helpful.